Hi, everybody. It's Region Weather Meteorologist Matt Wintz with our Sunday evening Region Weather Live. I'm in a new setup here just temporarily. We're getting some flooring down in the Weather Center, aka our basement here at the house. So that's a mess down there. You don't want to see it. Had to take down the Region Weather wall hanging. So that's the state we're in right now. So I'm in a different room temporarily, and we'll see how this works. I know the lighting's not the best, but who cares? You're here for the weather information, not for the looks. So we'll let a couple of people join here. Lots to talk about here in the forecast. We've got big changes. Obviously, we've been on the warmer side of things. It's been just downright balmy. Today, a little bit cooler. We hit 64 degrees today. You'll notice it the next couple of days. We've got some cooler air coming in. We'll talk about that, but really the front end of the week is going to be pretty quiet around here. I think that's the way we like things. But later next week, we highlighted this on Friday night in our Region Weather Live. Still watching a very powerful, some kind of tropical system and the interaction with a very powerful cold front coming in from the west, how those interact. We've got a little bit better idea behind that, and the end result is going to be a big pattern change next weekend. So we're going to talk about that and answer your questions as we always do here on the Sunday evening edition of Region Weather Live. Happy Sunday to you, everybody. I appreciate you spending some time, carving a little bit of time out of your Sunday evening schedule to chat weather. I want to make sure this is informative for you, that you were prepared for the week ahead weather-wise. And as always, we look into our weather crystal ball. We'll look far into the distant future, which would take us into next weekend and the following week, and we'll see what we see. And boy, do we see some changes. Want to say hello to Jeff. Hi, Shar. Hi, Don Z. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Rhonda, hello to you. Mary, hello. John asked a very important question. He says, is the is that four-letter word that rhymes with no in the forecast? John, I think it is. We'll tell you when here. Ashley asking about weather next Wednesday. We'll cover that. Deb, hello. Deshaun asking about the new weather layer. No, this is just temporary, Deshaun. We're getting the true weather layer. We're getting some flooring down there. So it's a mess right now. We had to get everything out of the room, repainted everything, and it's in the basement. So there's not a lot of airflow. So it just stinks. I'd probably pass out probably 10 minutes into the broadcast. So that's it. So we'll be back down there pretty soon. Ashley, I got your question coming up. And Carl, hello. And Emma, hello as well. As always, we want to thank our wonderful sponsors. Tiger Plumbing is the first and foremost. They have been with us for, almost a year now. But there are Northwest Indiana's plumbers. You guys, tigerplumbing.net's place to go. They come out for free. They are a wonderful family-owned business out of the Highland area. And again, they just do a fantastic job, whatever it happens to be. If you have anything leaking in the house, take care of it immediately. Tigerplumbing.net. Also, Discovery Travel, they're our newest sponsor. If you're planning a trip, I'll tell you, this long-term forecast is making us kind of look into warmer destinations. At least it will be. I know it doesn't feel like it yet. But the place to go in Northwest Indiana to do local is have Discovery Travel, TRVL, have them plan your trip. They do as little or as much as you want of the planning. They'll take care of insurance, flights, hotels, car rentals, tours, whatever it happens to be. You tell them where you want to go. And they'll take care of you. They also have some other locations that they have packages for as well. But again, it's Discovery TRVL on Facebook. They're local, and also on the internet as well. Also, finally, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, family-owned business. Everyone knows Grieger's. If you're looking for a Jeep, or if you're not looking for a Jeep, you might want to stop in, because now is Jeep season at Grieger's. As the winter comes along, that's the place to go. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Route 30. All right, let's jump into the forecast, shall we? Here we go. Okay, so I want to start big picture across much of the eastern half of the country and then out into the Atlantic. The storm system that just went by that produced all the strong winds is now way up towards Greenland. It's right here if you follow my mouse. Here is the low pressures that developed, and look at all the rain and thunderstorm action we had on the northern end of that, or the front end of that. And then it went to the northern end of that, and it all went up into Canada. It's producing heavy snow now up in Canada, but it's that far away from us now. That's how fast this thing was moving. So a couple things catch your attention as we look at the bigger picture across really the northern hemisphere here. You notice this big trough out out west, and you get this little area of moisture coming in. That's the atmospheric river coming into California. That big off is a big system. And there's really two low pressures on that, both of which will affect us and cause that pattern change for us later this week. You see it there, how it kind of carves out towards the end. So that's the first thing that catches your attention. The other one is out here in the Atlantic. There's really two systems right here. This could become a tropical storm. They've had lots of development around this, some gale force winds around the center of circulation. It doesn't look like much, I know. It looks like just a thunderstorm cluster. It's kind of rotating around. But that system could be a tropical storm here next couple of days. Then you have this big cluster of rain down towards the south. This is the system that's going to interact with the one out west to bring us our pattern change later this week. So it's all connected. I hope you guys see that the weather just doesn't come at us from the west. Everything is like on a pulley system, essentially, where you have highs and lows pulling each other everywhere. Some get stronger, some get weaker, and these two are going to interact. So the system north of Puerto Rico is actually going to interact with this low pressure, which is way off the west coast. Both those come together, and again, that will change our pattern. So what's that pattern change look like? Well, let's start with the beginning of the week. The only thing you're going to notice here in the short term is a wind shift, and it's going to bring in cooler air to start the week. We're looking beautiful. Tomorrow is going to be cooler, but tomorrow, Tuesday, even Wednesday, Thursday look great. Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to start to warm up again. We could make it into the 70s again. That's out ahead of that weekend system, but a pretty quiet start to the week. So here's the wind. It's been out of the southwest since that system went by. That's why we hit 64 degrees today, but it's going to be cooler tomorrow because you notice what happens. There's just this weak little frontal boundary combined with a high pressure off towards our west. Both those are going to play together to bring the wind out of the north tomorrow. So you notice as we go throughout your day on Monday, no rain, but we'll have this wind out of the north. It'll come off the lake. It'll be kind of chilly outside. And then as we go into Tuesday, more of a north breeze, turning more easterly as that high pressure to our north slides off towards the east. And that kind of points to some rain showers out in the plains that'll stay there on Tuesday. So next 2 days cooler. But then as we go into the long range forecast, this is from the Climate Prediction Center, a real good chance that the entire United States turns below average, exception being Miami. And you look at where the core of that cooler air is going to be, and I can say cold air at this point because we are on that time of year. But you notice it's in the northern plains and it's in the upper Midwest, and then it stretches over into our region as well. Again, when you look at these maps, I'm not a big fan of these. This is Climate Prediction Center. They're just telling you the percentage chance that it's going to be below average. So there's a real good chance that we'll have below average temperatures. This doesn't mean that it's going to be coldest in that spot. It's just compared to average and what the percentage is. But bottom line, a much colder look to the U.S. than what we've had, especially over the last 2 weeks or so. So when does this change happen? Let's talk about that. So we're going to the big board maps here. These, if you're unfamiliar with these maps, we show them all the time. This shows where snow's expected. This shows where rain's expected. There's a lot of lines on here, a lot of noise, but it gives us a lot of information. These black lines that you see, those are called isobars. Those are lines of equal pressure. Basically, is it windy or not? So here's a low pressure up here. You can see how all these black lines are tightly packed. So there's some pretty decent wind there. You notice how up here in the northern plains where this high pressure is, there's not a lot of black lines, so it's not windy, right? So that tells you how strong low pressures are, how strong high pressures are. The other thing we look at on here, you see these red lines and the blue lines that are on there as well. The blue lines, these are called your heights. So whenever you have this famous 540 line, it's this first blue line you see, that's typically where you're cold enough to produce snow, all right? The 540 line's north of us. It has been pretty much all fall so far, except for that little cold snap we had back in October. But watch what happens as we go through time. Two things we're keeping our eye on. Here's that tropical or subtropical, whatever it happens to become, that system off the East Coast that's going to impact us. Here's system number one out west. Look at the heavy snow out west. Again, still getting it. So as we go through time, here's Monday. We're now into Tuesday. By Tuesday night, we're starting to see some things happening. This low pressure is getting closer to the coast of Florida. They're likely going to have some coastal flooding and beach erosion along the Carolina, Georgia coast down towards Florida from this. Strong low, all that wind's coming in, right? So that's happening by Tuesday. We're still quiet on Tuesday. Our system is coming out west. So here's the first system up here. That's not really going to impact us. It's this one that hits California on Tuesday that we'll be watching. And it's going to be a doozy for California. A lot of times we'll look out towards the western U.S. and see how a storm is behaving out in California or Oregon or Washington. And that'll tell you how strong it's going to be out east as well. A lot of times, something I'll look for as a meteorologist is lightning in a storm. If they're having a lot of lightning from a storm in California or thunder snow in the mountains, you know that storm's going to pack a punch as it comes out east. So California's going to get pretty hard this week, especially on Tuesday. They're going to have really heavy snow and much needed snow all the way down to Sierra Nevadas. They're going to have much needed rain for LA. San Diego's going to get rain from this. So you'll hear about this probably nationally, because anytime they get rain down there, of course, they flip out, right? They need it. And they do get it. This is a rainy season, at least coming into it. But this is a system that'll eventually get our way. So this is Tuesday now. Let's take you into Wednesday. You notice by Wednesday, not much has changed. There's rain off towards our north. That will miss us with this system number 1. System 2 taking more of a shape out towards the west. And that Florida system, yeah, looking pretty tropical there. Very strong area low pressure. They'll start to feel the impacts of that on Wednesday. All right, Thursday's where the changes start to get a little bit closer to here. So let's fast forward to Thursday. Low pressure now hitting Florida. All right, that's a strong low, lots of rain. For us, we developed a strong southwest wind, much like we just had, with a strong area of low pressure out towards our west. So this system has now gone over the Rocky Mountains. There's heavy snows in the mountains. I mean, this is going to be a snowstorm for Wyoming. Denver may get some snow out of this. The bulk of it looks to be Wyoming and the Dakotas. And then you have this rain band with a warm front off towards the north. Where do we fall in that? We're going to be very warm and windy on Thursday. That looks to carry over into Friday as this low comes out in the plains. This is now Friday. There you go. We have heavy, heavy snow. Probably, I mean, we could even see blizzard conditions on the northern end of this for the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. That's a nasty system right there. There's a little line of showers and thunderstorms likely to be along that cold front, kind of like what we just went through. And this is, again, Thursday night, Friday. And then here comes our low pressure out of the Gulf. So our changes start Friday and Saturday. That's when the system's going to hit us. And again, it all depends on how these two lows come together. So I've now fast forwarded to Friday afternoon into the evening. This low pressure is further south. This low pressure is further north, but both of them are going to kind of merge, not directly, but it's going to form this elongated area of low pressure, basically a giant low pressure that stretches from the Great Lakes to Florida. Two separate systems, but kind of all together. So what that means for us, we're going to start warm on Friday, all right? And I already took a look at the Canadian model and the GFS model. Timing's a little off on this, okay? So it's either going to be Friday or it's going to be Saturday as of right now. I'm kind of leaning towards the late Friday solution. We'll see how it comes about. We'll have a chance of rain. We'll start warm on Friday. Front will go by. It'll be windy and will turn sharply colder. Again, either Friday afternoon, evening, Friday night, or Saturday. It just depends on the timing of this front. Again, these two things are going to interact and they're still not sorted out yet. But what that does for us, that takes us from probably 60s, maybe near 70. I would go 60s right now, down into the 40s to maybe even 30s as we go into Friday night. And you notice that line I talked about, that 540 line. That 540 line in terms of our atmospheric heights is now south of us. So that means our atmosphere could produce some snow at that time. This is Saturday early morning. East Coast getting raked right now with this low pressure, whatever it is, if it's tropical or not. Heavy rain up and down the I-95 corridor. For us, the cold air is wrapping in on the backside of all this. So that will set off the lakes in terms of lake effect snow. And notice how that 540 line goes all the way down to northern Tennessee and out towards the east. So we are firmly entrenched in the ability to produce snow both Saturday and Sunday. So as we look forward to a week from now, it's going to be markedly different in terms of that atmosphere outside, and we're likely to see some flakes flying. Little too early to call where they're going to be flying or what it's going to look like, but it does look like, and all the models agree, sometime either Saturday or pretty definitely on Sunday, we'll be in the cold air by then. We're going to have lake effect snow flying around. With this, to me, it looks like a decent northwest fetch. So that would take areas of Porter and LaPorte counties into play with this. Not saying we're not going to get snow in Lake County or even Newton County or Jasper County, but with a northwest wind, we typically get the Porter County, LaPorte County up towards Michigan. All right. So by this time next week, we could have some snowflakes flying. Hey, it's going to be November 12th and 13th, so we're due for that. Notice how the Euro has that system pull on out. Lake snow continues through Sunday night, and then it's done. In terms of lake effect snow events, it doesn't look to be a huge event for me. Could we get a couple inches out of it? Sure. But it doesn't look to be a prolonged, deep amount of moisture kind of snow around here. But we'll likely be seeing some flakes. where do we go from there? I thought this was interesting. This is towards the end of the Euro. Both the GFS and the Euro are agreeing that Tuesday, we're now at the 15th of November, so not this Tuesday, the following Tuesday, that there's some kind of system that comes out of Texas with some moisture. And these are the ones that can bring some heavy snow, not just to us, but the Ohio Valley. And look at what the Euro is saying. Some kind of low develops. You get this strip of heavy snow mixed with rain, perhaps. Again, this is fantasy land in the forecast, but some kind of system evolves that could bring some accumulating wet snow to areas of Indiana, Ohio, out towards Pennsylvania. And all the models kind of agree on that. All right, so that's what we're looking at there. I do want to show you, just because this is that time of year that we do that, I want to show you the snow totals that the models are putting out, at least in advance. Again, this isn't truth, but we look for trends in this. Look at all the snow out west from this latest system. I mean, when you get up into this white category here, we're talking 20 inches of snow. Even more than that. I mean, we're talking 30 to 40 inches of snow in the mountains. They're just going to get plastered out there, which is great. Ski season's been great for them already. But here we go. This is Thursday, Friday. Look at all the snow coming our way. I mean, they're laying it down. They're going to have a lot of snow up in the Dakotas as well. And then here's your weekend snow, at least the prospects of that. And you can see how, yeah, Northwest Indiana, a couple inches there. Once you get into the blues, you're three or so inches. So not a big event for the Great Lakes, but certainly different than where we've been. Last two things I want to show you, then we'll answer your questions for you. I want to show you the GFS model, which is the American model. And I'll keep track of the timing on this, make sure it goes out the same distance and time. It does. And you can see how the GFS paints some snow over Northwest Indiana, some in Michigan. Not a big event, though. A little bit bigger out towards Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, because that's where that circulation is expected to stay a little bit longer. And then the GFS really long range, just for fun, shows maybe a little bit more, but boy, are they laying it down off towards our north. And that spells a cold set of days beyond that for us, as that cold air just slides so easily across all that snowpack. Final thing here is the Canadian model, and you can see it's a little bit more bullish in terms of the lake effect snow off Lake Michigan. But overall, Northwest Indiana is still about the same, where it would be a LaPorte or Porter County snow that we're looking at. Okay. All right. That's all I got for you tonight. I hope that helps. Again, that's what I'm seeing in terms of the modeling. That's the main system that I'll be watching all week long, is how that low pressure off Florida interacts with this low. Can it still change? Can they come together and form this monster system? It sure could. It was showing that in the models on Friday. Could they stay separate? Could this, tropical system go first? This one comes next. I think that's the more, I guess, reliable, or the system that I put a bet on in terms of the modeling on it. But bottom line, we turn much colder. Whether that happens Friday afternoon, Friday evening, or into the day Saturday remains to be seen. It's all about the timing of that front, which is still way out in the Pacific right now, and the interaction with that low, which is still over Puerto Rico right now, just north of it. Okay. So a lot of things to watch, but certainly turning much colder. That's for sure later next week. Okay. All right. So let's answer your questions if you guys have any. Diana, thank you very much. I appreciate the comment. All right. Ashley got her update for Wednesday weather. Looking good, Ashley. Getting a little warmer on Wednesday. But we'll stay dry. There'll be some rain on radar northwest of us, but we should stay dry from that. Maxwell, I'm not sure about that. Have they decided something on that? They've been talking about that since I was a little kid. Finally changing daylight saving time. Let us know, says Jason. David, hello. Debbie says, I agree. We've been pretty lucky with no snowfall yet this season. Yeah, it's still a little early, but yeah, we're certainly due by now. Oh, they made it permanent. I didn't know that, Deshaun. That's awesome. If there's enough snow, all the schools will be closed. David, not with this one. I've got my eye out for school closing snows, but I don't see one with this next week's snow. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Lenny, thanks for that. So, as you guys know, I work in the news, but I don't plug into any of that over the weekend. So this is my first time looking at the modeling. I actually don't do a lot of weather forecasting for 2 days. It's a nice getaway, and I don't know anything about the news either. So that's great that they did that. Debbie's saying grocery store panic. Right. Yeah. Debbie, how do you feel about the Christmas music? I know people either love it or hate it. Jimmy's still mowing. I feel you, Jimmy. It's all the leaves now that everyone has, right? And Maxwell, you're absolutely right. This weather has spoiled all of us. It really has. It's been a beautiful fall, though. I mean, can you guys think of a fall that's been better than this? I mean, it really has been nice. We've had multiple stretches of 60 and 70 degree weather. We've had lots of sunshine. We haven't really had a lot of wind outside of this last system that went through the other day. So it really has been pretty special. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to let you go. I don't see any questions. That I hope that means that I explained things well. But anyway, that's what we're going to be watching this week. As always, just please support our sponsors. And you can also hear us on our network of radio stations starting tomorrow morning, Monday through Fridays. We give our forecasts out there, and then we have a little chit chat as well. So that's something to look forward to. So I'll be up bright and early recording those with them. Other than that, please enjoy the rest of your night. I hope you have a wonderful week this week. We'll be back with you. Looks like schedule-wise, we'll be back with you on Wednesday as regularly scheduled. Debbie loves the Christmas music a little early. Every year it feels like that for sure. I got flash from the past pictures. In 2010, we had a couple inches of snow on the ground. I appreciate that. Thanks for calling that out. I mean, it can snow this time of year. It can snow around Halloween, so for sure. Yeah, Dorothy, not a bad week ahead. You can always go back and rewatch these on our Facebook page. You just move the slider to, the beginning of it. But yeah, the week looks nice. It's going to be pretty quiet as we go throughout the beginning of the week. It's going to turn cooler the next 2 days. We're back to warm southerly breeze Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday's our big pattern changing system. So that comes in probably with some rain, and then we'll change it over to a cold wind by the weekend. And that'll kick off some lake effect snow. Doesn't look to be a huge lake effect event, but could pick up a couple inches out in the snow belt for sure. Debbie, I don't think any thunder snow with this one. No, it doesn't look like it to me. Ashley, you're welcome for sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night tonight. Appreciate you carving out some time to geek out with me weather-wise.